going on, Vikings fans? Happy Friday to all of you guys tuning in. And coming up on today's show, we got some bad news and we got some great news around your Minnesota Vikings. So we'll be going over some of the top backup QB targets still remaining here in free agency. And then also, Jonathan Allen had a ton of praise for this Vikings organization. It is some awesome quotes coming in from Allen here. So stay tuned till the end of today's show to hear what he had to say. But before we do so, the bad news for the Minnesota Vikings. If you guys missed the news earlier on this morning, top Vikings QB target Joe Flacco has officially signed a deal to return to the Cleveland Browns. Pretty disappointing. He was my top quarterback target for the Vikes. I thought, having a veteran voice in J.J. McCarthy's ear would be huge for his development and just huge for him going throughout this whole NFL season with a stacked roster. Vikings have Super Bowl expectations, and I felt like having a guy like Flacco would have been awesome to be in that quarterback room with J.J. McCarthy. But if it's not Flacco, who is backing up J.J.? Name a quarterback the Vikings need to sign. Who is it? We'll go over 5 names and a couple of trade targets here in a second. But you guys let me know. Name a QB the Vikings need to sign. All right, so it was Adam Schefter that broke the news early on this morning at 7:22 a.m. as he tweeted out, reunion. The Cleveland Browns and veteran quarterback Joe Flacco reached an agreement today for a 1-year, $4 million deal, up to $13 million with incentives. And then he also carried on to say Flacco also spoke with the Steelers and Vikings, but opted to spend his 18th NFL season with the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm sure Flacco had some interest in the Minnesota Vikings. I really believe that, but I wonder if he just wanted to, because I'm sure the Vikings told him, like, hey, we won't sign you until after the NFL draft. We want to, keep in mind the comp pick formula and everything. So I wonder if Flacco just wanted to take the guarantee from the Browns over kind of the wild card that would be the Minnesota Vikings. So makes sense why he would want to return to Cleveland. He's got a probably good chance to start there. I can't see the Browns trading for a guy like Kirk Cousins anymore. He's going to have to battle it out with Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson, and I could most likely see Flacco winning that job. But, where does that leave the Vikings on the free agency, perspective here? You still got Carson Wentz out there. You got a guy like Drew Lock. Ryan Tannehill already met with the Minnesota Vikings, so he has some interest there. You got a guy like Desmond Ridder. You also got a guy like Mike White out there. But, point being, there are not a lot of great options on the table right now for the Vikings. And my top 2 guys, I think I got to go Drew Lock and Ryan Tannehill. And I'll probably choose Tannehill number 1 over Drew Lock. Just he's been a veteran, won some big-time playoff games, went to an AFC championship game, played in Arrowhead. So I would rather go Tannehill over a guy like Drew Lock, but I still think Drew Lock would be a solid option. Quick note here, with the Browns also signing Joe Flacco, I think that takes them out of the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes because we heard, a lot of buzz about Kirk going to Cleveland. I don't think that's a possibility anymore. I wonder if the Vikings will put a call in to Atlanta. Maybe they try to give him a future 3rd-round pick or whatever the draft compensation would be, and maybe the Vikes try to swing Kirk as the backup. I think it's unlikely, but just a thought I wanted to get out there. But some other guys. How about Teddy Bridgewater? It is being reported that Teddy will most likely go back and coach high school football this upcoming season. So this could be something where how Teddy signed with the Detroit Lions, towards the end of last season. Maybe that could be in play for the Minnesota Vikings. But I would love to bring Teddy back. He'd be great for the vibes, great locker room guy. He's got those winning intangibles. He just won a state championship last season, coaching down there for his high school team. So pretty cool stuff there on Teddy, but I just think it's unlikely that, he would go sign to be the backup for the Vikings. He already has some responsibilities for the majority of next season. But a guy I don't think we talk about enough, Brett Rippon. He signed in late August last season, and he was just bouncing around from the practice squad to the quarterback 3 spot for the Vikings. And I wonder if Minnesota and that front office, if they think Rippon is just the guy to be the QB2. And maybe all this speculation of like, oh, why do the Vikings have all this extra cap space? Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, could they trade for a guy when I wonder if in reality they just love Rippon that much and they're like, yeah, Brett Rippon can be our quarterback too. Then if we need to bring in another guy, we will. So just a thought there. I wonder if Brett Rippon is the QB2 and maybe they just really haven't fully came out and said anything so far. But a trade target for the Vikings, Tyrod Taylor. Now, I don't know if the Jets would be willing to move off Tyrod unless it's for, I don't want to say a premium draft pick, but like maybe a 5th or a 6th rounder. And I don't know if the Vikings would want to give it up. But they do have Justin Fields now. But I still think they would want to have Tyrod in that locker room, just have that veteran voice for Fields. But if the Vikings give him a trade, that, entices them a little bit, I would love Tyrod to be the backup quarterback spot. Honestly, if I had to choose between like Tannehill, Drew Lock, all these guys, Tyrod would be number one. I just don't know if that's too likely. Now, kind of want to just get a take out there. I don't love the Vikings just punting on the backup quarterback position, considering J.J. McCarthy is coming off a torn meniscus. Now, if you guys have watched this show, I'm a massive J.J. McCarthy believer. I think he's going to step in and be a difference maker for this offense week 1 of next season. But I still just don't love the thought process of saying, like, hey, we're just going to bank on McCarthy being healthy for all 17 games, which obviously you should, but I just wish they put more of their resources into the backup quarterback spot. Like, they should have went out and maybe signed a Gardner Minshew. Maybe they should have went out and got a Joe Flacco. So I don't love the process of not having a high-end backup quarterback, considering you had a rookie coming off a torn meniscus, hasn't played a real snap of NFL football just yet. So don't love that front for the Minnesota Vikings. But you guys be honest with me here. Are you concerned about the backup quarterback position? I'm not too concerned, but I'm also like not concerned at all. If that makes sense, I'm kind of in the middle here, like slightly concerned, but it's also not that big of a deal in my opinion. But you guys be honest with me. Are you concerned about the Vikings backup quarterback position? Why for yes and for no? Coming up next year on the show, Jonathan Allen, newest Minnesota Vikings defensive tackle, talked about the Vikings and their whole facilities, their organization, and it's pretty cool stuff. So stay tuned for that. But before we dive into it, got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Factor Meals. I absolutely love Factor Meals. And if you guys want to get started at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and plug in that promo code VikingsChat50off, you guys will get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code VikingsChat50off at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Now make this your best season yet with 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat and perfect for any active lifestyle. Covering the Minnesota Vikings here at Chat Sports, we work a lot of long days, especially with the draft just around the corner. Sometimes I'm not getting out of the office till about 7 o'clock at night, and I don't always feel like cooking a full home-cooked meal, and that's where Factors came in. And it's completely changed my life, changed my habits, and I'm just living a healthier lifestyle thanks to Factor. And Factor also powers your day with satisfying breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. So get started at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and use code VikingsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code VikingsChat50off at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off for 50% off plus free shipping. That link for you guys is in the comment section and description of today's show. All right, so what's the good news that we're going to talk about today? Well, Jonathan Allen showed a ton of love to the Vikings organization, and it kind of confirmed a lot of thoughts and a lot of preconceived notions we have already had about this team. But this is what he had to say. It was pretty damn cool. When I came in here and see they have a kombucha and all the drinks in the fridge and the facility, I feel like I've been cheated my last 8 years. These guys over here are living like this. It's incredible talking to these guys here and how they focus on getting you to perform at your best when your best is needed. I love that. And, when I heard this quote from Jonathan Allen, I thought about the ownership group for the Minnesota Vikings and just the Wilfs. Like, obviously, we get a lot of love or give a lot of love to GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah for right reason. He's the one going out there negotiating all these deals, but also the Wilfs, they deserve a lot of credit for these past 2 free agency classes for the Vikings because they have built up a great organization. And I think a big reason why these top-tier free agents choose to come to Minnesota, it's not just because of the coaching staff, not just because of the culture, but I think it's because of this. The NFLPA report card grades come out every year. And the Vikings are always top 3 in every single category. Like, they gave Kevin O'Connell, obviously, an A+, ownership, A+, treatment of families, locker room, A+ as well, training staff, strength coaches, team travel, all A, and then A- in food, dining area, training room, and weight room. But the Vikings have some of the best facilities in the National Football League, and I really believe that plays a big impact on guys like Jonathan Allen deciding to come to Minnesota. And he also said this: I can't say enough how great the culture has been. From how they treat the families to how they treat the players, it's just incredible. And shout out to producer Dylan for choosing a photo of Kevin O'Connell. breaking down the team in the background right there. But, it's true. Like the Vikings, they're just a Class A organization. And that's why I feel like the floor for this football team is extremely, extremely high. Just, or not just because of the talent, not just because of the coaching staff, but because top to bottom, this is a very well-run organization. Now, will it translate into playoff wins? Will it translate into the Vikings potentially getting into a Super Bowl? We'll have to wait and see. But I think it would be naive to say that if the facilities, the organization, the culture didn't play a massive impact into the Vikings landing some of the top free agents the past 2 seasons. But we'll end today's show with this. If you guys love the Minnesota Vikings, hit me with the skull down below in the comments section. And we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.